I attack with my quarterstaff.
Roll again.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
The Tome of the Unliving. Though often considered the ultimate solution, death does not always put an end to evil. Sustained by the power of forbidden magics and dark passions, some creatures bargain away their dignity for accursed immortality, and so defy moral law. In the eyes of the divine, some of the greatest of mortal villains are those who become the undead. In response to atrocity of undeath, the gods forged a monument to the finality of life, a sprawling crypt to house the unliving offenders of their most sacred laws, a place where such abominations might live out their depraved existences in immortal impotence. A tomb of the unliving within a prison of the forgotten. In the era of the great prison's creation, the most powerful and most vile undead were gathered and interned within the divine crypt. Among these horrors were Hell Champion Vinara Catacharia, Castiophysius, and a creature known as the World Eater. With an army of rotting servants and a petty death lords, these nightmares were sealed away, their souls left to rot with their bodies, and for centuries the undead have done just that, brooding on imagined lives and weaving plots against a world that has forgotten them, until recently something began to stir back to a twisted form of life, awakening more than a host of zombies and ghouls, but also the potential for eternal death. At the heart of the Tome of the Unliving is a great shrine, a sanctuary revering the three aspects of the god of death. Between statues of the guide, the judge, and the merciless executioner stands a dais filled with holy light. Imprisoned by this divine radiance, intended to sleep until the end of time, are the shadows of the gargantuan World Eater, a creature of such power that the great prison's celestial guards fear to let it roam free even in captivity. The Dreadworm has remained trapped within the tome since its creation, but even the most powerful magics weaken, and all with alterations and the prison's physical and arcane supports, the World Eater strains against the walls. As the blessed light of the ancient terrors so awakens, surges of power pulse through the crypts. These waves of negative energy have goaded the three most ancient of the tome's inhabitants to search for the source, and be the first to bend it to his or her dark will. Though none know what power lay dormant with them, or what has reinvigorated it, their perverse ambitions and lust for freedom have driven them each to obsess over claiming it, but gaining access to the central crypt has proven more difficult than expected. 4 gates of celestial steel bar the way to the inner temple, and for any creature to enter the sanctuary, each trapped portal must be opened. Thus, Venaria, Invictus, and Castiophysius have come into brutal conflict, each battling to gain hold of the holy passengers and dominate the tome's heart. Over decades of conflict, the servants of the 3 immortal warlords have each claimed at least one gate for their master. The devout slaves of death-worshipping Castiophysius have proven most powerful, inspired by madness and their empress' belief that they fight to awaken an avatar of her dark god, Invictus, who found genius first uncovered the secrets of lichdom, a secret that has fashioned monstrous servants from unliving bone, savage warriors that he hopes will win him access to an untold wealth of dark magic. But the ghostly Venaria has proven to be the most pragmatic or problematic of her peers, sending her incorporeal soldiers into battle. She fights for soldiers a means
I
to escape the
attack
prison
with
and
my
torment the
quarterstaff.
world anew, each with their own perverse motivations. The damned battle in their mass grave for nearly a century now, evenly matched and no closer to their goals than they were at the war's beginning. But with the coming of heroic intruders to the Lion prison, all that may soon change.
Roll
Besides the
again.
massive crypts, undead prisoners, another being of faith in the entwined with the tome of the unliving, a soul lantern archon,
I attack
Vrishestet,
with my
is
quarterstaff.
sworn to eternally watch over the gates to the ancient tomb, ready to raise the alarm should be the dead ever find a way to escape. But recent events, as measured by those that live forever, have left him uncertain of his duties. Vrishestet has felt the
Roll
rumblings
again.
of dark energy resonating from within the tome, and it is only beginning in the area that realizes their import. Powerless to prevent the World
I
Eater's
attack
revival and
with
forsworn
my
to cause
quarterstaff.
no harm, the undead within the tomb, Vrishestet has been forced to wait, feeling the dread worm grow stronger and closer to fully awakening. He fears what will happen if the awesome terror is no longer rest, and so the Celestial Guard merely watches, hoping that others might come unrestricted, with the power to put the World Eater back
Roll
to
again.
sleep, hopefully forever.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Outside the tomb.
Roll
Tomb.
again.
At the base of the great plateau, just beyond the gates of the tomb of the unliving, are piles of rock and coal-like stone. These jagged mounds are a strayed breeze from the nearby Drow's past excavations, sapped of their barely earthly vitality due to their centuries-long proximity to the crypt's negative energy, due to the uneven, deteriorating, fooling areas outside the tomb are considering difficult terrain and reduce the movement of non-flying creatures by
Roll
half.
again.
As with the massive ebon structure, the land is not a place for the living. The talent of negative energy has infused the hills with an unnatural lifelessness and has drawn to it all sorts of death-hungry creatures. Besides the occasional stray spirit, Baldaks, shadows, and worse now haunt the accursed mounds. The Dead Mound. Just west of the River of Fire, the largest pile of blackened stone once served as an encampment for Drow renegades and is riddled with a series of unstable claustrophobic passages. 4 major openings allow access into the 80-foot tall mountain and refuse, while small chambers exist as the crux of the tunnels. And just off the southeasternmost passage, but unfortunately for the Drow that created the squalid complex, a new resident of the area recently evicted the runaway and has claimed the Dead Mound as its own lair. Central Gate, stretching to the north and south, a sprawling structure of streaked black stone. Thousands of morbid artisans have labored here, for as you draw near, you can make out hundreds of thousands of black skulls, each as tall as a man, carved into a grim facade. Amid beginning stones and shadowy eye sockets rises a huge gateway flanked by a pair of featureless humanoid statues towering nearly 3 stories above you. The gate's blackened metal bears in relief the grim form of a faceless figure clothed in heavy judge's robes, one skeletal hand gripping a gaveth, while the other holds a scale balanced by skulls. However, the image on the gate is not inferred by any cieces or hinges, raising the question of how the huge door is opened. As you ponder this, a sphere of brilliant white light darts from the eye socket of one of the walls. Many skulls. As it nears, it calls your intense, buzzing voice. Hail, travelers, might I have a word?
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Golem attack. North Gate. Set among the shadow-filled skulls of 1,000 stone giants stand a hulking gateway of charred iron. Upon the gate, enclosed in elaborate detail, is a scene depicting an elderly man dropping his cane to take the hand of a peaceful-looking skeleton.
Roll again.
Dozens of shadowy horrors flee from the determined pair, while the tree-lined path they stand upon gently fades into the setting sun, framing the scenery. Grim work loom a pair of statues, each sculpted from the same dark stone as the wall. Above the featureless faces, they reach over the gate, one touching a shepherd's staff to the other's elongated shield.
Roll again.
I attack with my
South Gate. A break in the seemingly endless sea of monstrous skulls, and the slight sheen of blackened metal marks the form of a dreadful gate within the dark veined wall. Crafted in detailed relief is a massive bloody clawed skeleton, its eyes flickering a hellish red as it exults amid mountains of butchered corpses. Surrounding the gate's stone frame has been carved into a pair of giant twin executioners, headsmen's axes held at the quick underneath an arc of 5 sneezing demons. You slay all of them. Outer vaults of the Tome. The Tome of Unliving is a decaying masterpiece, a wonder of grim engineering that has been abandoned to centuries of rot and decay. But though the outermost walls, ceilings, and floors of the structure are infused with powerful divine magics and are untouched by time, the inner structures have proven much more susceptible to the wear and tear of aging.
Roll again.
Northern Deadwood. An ancient iron door stands opposite the massive outer gates encrusted with centuries of rust. When the gate opens, you are faced with a silently crackling plane of blue-white energy. The wall of light rises as high as the gate and seems to be about as thick as the outer wall, though the semi-transparent force you can make out a small room, a heavily rusted iron door directly across from you. Northern Necrology. You enter a curved room, its walls shining with a passionless radiance etched into the walls, illuminated by, or perhaps the source of the dead light, are thousands of lines, spiraling, elegant runes. Opposite you, the flow of these symbols is interrupted by a simple door set within the opposite wall. Northern Outer Shrine. A broad room, it lit by the fires of short, razor-topped pillars open before you. Facing you from opposite wall is an intimidating pair of dark metal doors, ornamentally embossed with a scene of huge blindfolded skeleton weighing hundreds of miniature corpses in its outstretched hands to either side of the door you've entered. Through are a pair of deep alcoves, a fearsome statue standing in each one of unclothed skeleton holding a gnarled walking stick, and the other a fleshless warrior wielding a scythe with 4 both sculptures stand short pillars bearing an unlit brazier.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Central Deadwood. The doors beyond the Deadwood has no lock, but it is rusted shut. The gate opens before you, revealing a blue tingled haze of energy, simultaneating in unknowable arcane tides. The barrier fills the entranceway through, partially obscure. You can make out a stout door standing in the room beyond. The light is a visible divine ward that keeps the tomes undead, even incorporeal ones trapped inside. The wall should not prove to be an obstacle to the PCs unless they are somehow undead themselves. Central necrology. The door leading from the room is stuck in its frame and requires to be broken. The curved walls of this chamber seem to be sufficed with a dull radiance. Miles of tiny elegancy, carved runes run along every vertical surface here, broken only to make room for a crude iron door. Central outer shrine. Flame flicker in this room in anticipation of your arrival. Across the room is a relief upon a black iron door. A gore-drenched skeleton raises a chalice of skulls to its face, showering itself in a rain of blood to its sides. Partially hidden in dim alcoves stands a statue of stern-looking blindfolded corpse and a sculpture of an old woman being held aloft by a skeletal form. Before both of these alcoves stand unlit braziers.
I attack with my
The unlit braziers are parts of magical device capable of unlocking the gates. The braziers before the judge operates the lock, while the brazier before the guide operates the lock. However, if the devices are operated in haste, the trap built into the room is spitting. Should a second brazier be lit before the first partner in another room is, dozens of long, straight blades burst through the thin mortar lines within the floor, affecting all creatures within the room.
With my quarterstaff.
Southern Deadward and Ruin Necrology. The door leading from the room is loose in frame, loudly falls inward if even the slightest force is applied. Beyond a veil, flickering magical brilliance, piles of rubble and twisted metal. Several walls stand in various states of ruin through the most distant glow with elaborate script. Beyond the wall of light and the piles of debris, you can make out a simple door of rusted metal. Southern Outer Shrine. The door leading to the room is also locked by a magical device tied to braziers. The ambient light of several lit braziers strike a powerful counterpoint to the grim artistry of the room. At the shadowy extremes of the wide hall, the braziers before them extinguished stand poorly illuminated statues. One of the excellent fleshnesses warrior annoyed in the skins of its enemies, and another of a skeleton without eye sockets seated upon a metal throne. Between the dark figures stands a great metal door carved with the image of 100 tiny figures walking and climbing upwards down the bones of massive corpse. Northern Inner Shrine.
Roll again.
Another grimly decorated room stands before you, a great double door of ebony steel, etched with image of monstrous skull, gnashing hundreds of withering bodies. That seems to be the only other exit from the room. Filling the side walls are equally disturbing statues. One, a featureless figure hidden by ornate robes, its skeletal hands resting upon a double-edged sword, and the other, a bare skeleton walking forward, holding serene-looking babes in both arms. 3 pillared braziers stand in the room, one in front, both statues in one another room's center. Only the center brazier is lit. Central Inner Shrine. Southern Inner Shrine. The Western Outer Halls. Several mass burial chambers for the weakest, most numerous of those interned here. The rooms in the section of the largest tomb. Most of the ceilings are soar 60 feet higher above the floor, while the walls and thick pillars are lined with stacks of burial alcoves. Many of the halls are crafted around identifiable themes and hold undead and committed specific crimes. Petty princelings, heretics, and the interpervious lusty are 3 such examples of lifeless criminals that are now trapped in crypts, both are born of their sins, though many
attack
undead
with
of
my
this region
quarterstaff.
are free to wander. Those imprisoned within the crypts are bound to them for eternity and cannot pass through their doors. Crypts concerned with specific sins or criminals are usually obvious as such. Their walls heavily adorned with art. Characters interested in determining the themes
Roll
or
again.
crimes specific to these rooms need only make knowledge. Though the holes stalk creatures too
I
weak or
attack
unmeasurable
with
to
my
be
quarterstaff.
recruited into the service of one of the tombs, greater creatures rooms again and again, hoping for escape. Though the western outer halls exhibit nothing of practical value, the tomb's
again.
warlords are constantly vigilant, watching the patrolling realm out of fear that one of the opponents
I
may
attack
tap into
with
an
my
unforeseen
quarterstaff.
hidden resource, as her domain is closest. Denari's dread wraiths maintain the most consistent presence. At the southernmost portion of these holes is a heavily trapped express, though a particularly canny or powerful creature from that fiery realm may occasionally wander into the tomb. Once they do, they find that this gate
I
is
attack
warded.
with my quarterstaff.
This is the southern gate, power to be only one entrance, and effectively traps any creature that passes through.
Roll again.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Northern Great Hall, Arch of the Masses, Crypt of the Nobles, Crypt of the Emperors, Crypt of the Princelings, Crypt of the Seneschals, Crypt of the Cowardly, Crypt of the Cultists, Crypt of the Bishops, Crypt of the False Gods, Crypt of the War Masters, Crypt of the Soldier Northern Guard
I
Post,
attack with my quarterstaff.
Crypt of the Peasant, Crypt of the Godless, Crypt of the Heretic, Crypt of the Blasphemers, Crypt of the Fiendish, Crypt of the Prideful, Dread Wraiths attack. You defend yourselves and destroy the Dread Wraiths.
Roll again.
Crypt of the Sinners,
I
Arch of
attack
Sins.
with my quarterstaff.
The upper walls and ceiling of this room slope inward like an archway. The walls are sculpted with a humanoid figure graphically stating every imaginable vice and performing even the most unspeakable crimes. At the room's highest centermost point, the sculptures distort and being as if they were being drawn into some whirlpool of darkness night. Crypt of the Slothful, Crypt of the Chaffed, Crypt of the Envious, Arch of Flesh. The walls of this chamber reveal thousands of realistic-looking figures sculpted into the black stone. The images show humanoids and demons acting are ritualistic scarring and suicide. At the apex, a single skeletal figure grins down at the chaos below. Crypt of the Lusting, Arch of Blood, Crypt of the Gluttonous, Crypt of Greed, Crypt of the Wrathful, Southern Great Hall, Southern Fire Wards, Flame's Inner Shrine, Flame's Outer Shrine, False Gate, Flame's Deadward and Necrology, Death's Court. Among the undead condemned to linger in the tomb of the unliving, not all choose to rest in peace. Among those that raged for centuries
attack
against the
with
will
my
of their
quarterstaff.
captors. Several cunning and powerful creatures became immortal rulers over legions of lesser undead. In at least one case, however, cunning has been replaced by madness, and the only power involved is that of a centuries-long delusion, such as the loss of self-proclaimed ruler of whites,
Roll again.
Bodak calling himself the Great Death, scoffed at and considered beneath contempt. The true undead lords of the tome consider this charlatan a bit of a joke. Has made the predator's depredations more evidence that it is praised weakling lording over a diminutive and mindless brood proves he is no threat to their power. In life, his true name was Maleflor, the Scourge, and he slew more living creatures than in all of recorded history. He became, as a result, the first Bodak and living walking death. But when his sentence to the tome lost my place. Court of Death, Great Death's Northern Gate, Great Death's Forest, the Great Death's Eastern Gate, the Great Death's Armory, Storage, Bailiff's Post, the Cell of the Accused,
Roll again.
Cell of the Damned, the Court of the Great Death, Southern Hall.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Venara's Realm. Under the control of the Champion of Hell, a blackguard ghost named Venara, she is one of the most powerful and cunning undead warlords of the tomb. Her domain is guarded by nightmarish specters and shadows dedicated to her cause. All corporeal undead that once dwelled in Venara's realm have long since been eradicated or exiled to the western outer halls. As such, the halls in this section are commonly quite bare, except the walls sculpted with horrors of the stray burial grounds or shrouds dancing in the gust. Fearful of attacks from the domains of bordering warlords, Venaria keeps strict patrols throughout her territory and maintains several curtains of guard posts between the borders of her realms and her inner command center to represent heightened security and organization of Venara's militaristic servants. Despite the fact that Venara could be interested in using war against the tombs, every other warlord, her miners have orders to attack everything on sight. If a specter escapes a battle, alert Venara their presence. She does not order her servants to stand down. It should be important to note Venara is the only undead creature who can move through the inner walls of the region. Fear she is kept secret from even her most loyal followers. When the time comes, she intends to pay unsuspecting visits upon the Invistus of Castificus. Most rooms in the section are bleak without light.
Roll again.
Harvest Crypt, Dust
I
Hall,
attack with my quarterstaff.
Font of the Fallen Priest, Shattered Statuary, Crypt of the Prime Lich, Crypt of the Black Empress, Westguard Hall, Eastguard Hall, Crypt of the Saint Azimond, Crypt of the Forgotten One, Guard Post,
Roll again.
Temple of the God of Slaughter, Ashes of the Dead, Ghastly Remains Forged from Evil, Forged from Spite, Crypt of the Ashen Wraith, Room of Repentance, Sanctuarial Chamber, Dead Wave, Ashes to Ashes, Southern Mustering Ground, Dead Bones, Broken Halls, Ashen Mortar, Spectral Armory, Emptied Hall, Spectral Barracks, Ashes to Ashes, Empty Mustering Hall, Guards and Wards, Northern Mustering Hall,
I attack with my quarterstaff.
Venara's command center. A chill wind rushes over everyone entering this hall. Furniture fills this room. 2 great tables, wall maps, suits of armor, a throne-like chair situated behind a map-laden desk. The furnishings are not crafted on the same black stone
Roll
as in
again.
the rest of the town, or from any other kind of mundane material. However, rather they flicker and fade into a reality as ghostly forms. Among the spectral dust and maps drift animate shadows, silently moving with the dire purpose. These creatures pay no mind to the living, that from the lack of a chamber upon the great ghostly throne, a figure rises, as spectral as their surroundings. The silhouette is that of a fearsome, bald woman with dagger-like features, resplendent in hulking armor, wishes construct of bound souls. She can, intruders near her stands, a transparent scythe crackles with morbid green energy, but ghostly hand does not reach for. Instead, she booms in proud voice, I had forgotten how slowly mortal flesh crawls. Hold live things, I would speak with you. And, yeah, that's Venaria, and you slay her. And there's the Wraith of Desperation, Confession, Deathwave, Absolution, Guard Post, Cross Toll,
I attack.
Screaming Skull, Guard Post, the Mummy's Tomb, Outer Guard Post, Malrig's Riders, First Central Antechamber, Trapped Intersection, Wyvern Zombie Pen,
Roll again.
Lone Undead Knight, Priest Preparation Chamber,
I attack with
Place
my
of Worship,
quarterstaff.
Skeletal Remains, Trapped Doorway, Temple Guards Barracks, Compacting Room,
Roll again.
I attack with my quarterstaff.
and that about sums up the Tome of Unliving. You slay everything in here, and you are now level 23, and you are now capable of taking on and defeating a Solar Angel, which is supposed to be the most powerful creature or monster in the 3.5 Monster Manual, though you might have thought it was the Tarrasque, and you would have been wrong, because it's actually a Solar Angel. And we're going to fight one of those next time that is under demonic possession. Dungeons and Dragons. You're already past level 20, so I don't even understand why you would
Roll again.
keep on listening to someone speak after you got to level 20. But, you know, you were told about a Solar Angel, and
I attack with my
so we're here to slay, right? Okay.